Can we get a deal done with China? Are you hopeful about these coming meetings?
Well, I'm always hopeful, but I think the gap is pretty broad between the two sides. Back in early May, the U.S. side brought up 24 points, sometimes called the 8 points because the 24 are broken down into 8 sections. Chinese brought up 12 points. There's room for compromise on some things. Just as a joke almost, I can tell you the Chinese deny all of the technology theft wrongdoing. So all they would have to do is say, well, we'll never do it again. We'd have room for some sort of compromise there. On the harder issues, whether the China can come up with $100 billion a year additional purchase of American exports immediately and in the following year, I think that's less likely. There's room for some compromise in the investment area, equal treatment by both sides of each other's companies and investment. The CFIUS thing kind of reform that you mentioned just now kind of plays into that. So there is room for compromise, but there's also a Chinese expression called Kong Shou Lai Le. Kong Shou means empty hands. So Mr. Wang, Vice Minister Wang, who's coming, is known as a hawk. He's the one who issued the statement about a month ago that China's done nothing wrong and it denies all these allegations. Okay. On our side, we have more of a dove, a gentleman the Chinese perceive as their friend. David Milpass has been on the board of the National Committee of U.S.-China Relations.
We know him well. He's been a longtime guest here at CNBC, yes.
They think he's kind of
because I do want to get to Stefan.
They think he's kind of a good guy. So yes, the makings of a deal are there. I'm trying to be optimistic.
Okay. Aforementioned Stefan Selig. What do you think?
You know, look, I think it is good that at the vice minister level, which is the level that I was at in the last administration, folks are getting together in anticipation of these upcoming meetings in November that President Xi will have with President Trump. But there are not only a huge number of issues, as Michael mentioned, there are some very fundamental issues. And my concern is that you know, making progress on the theft and counterfeiting of intellectual property is for sure possible. But the notion that structurally that China is going to change the state's support of their economy, I think is very far-fetched. And as a result, I think not only the breadth of asks, to Michael's point, but the fundamental depth of what we are looking to have happen is unlikely to be able to.
Okay, so this is a provocative thought. We've had Derek Scissors on from AEI. He says, you know what? Because of that, give up. Stop trying to cut a deal with these guys. What do you think of that, Michael? He says, just stop, but let's stop pretending that they're ever going to be different and start to rethink our relationship with China.
No, I agree with Stefan that the structural differences are enormous. They're not going to give up being a state-owned enterprise as a country as a whole. However, half their economy, maybe a bit more, Nick Lardy says about 2/3 of their economy is the free market. They do have going for them their own their own economy being in trouble.
But you disagree with the premise that we should keep trying, though. We should keep trying, you think?
We should keep trying, yes.
Stefan, you think we should keep trying?
I don't think we have a choice, right? And so the question is, can we, you know, it's very easy to inflict pain on China and other countries. The question is, are the policies and things we're going to do going to change their behavior? And that is, to me, the overriding question.
What constitutes victory here, Stefan, for the U.S.?
I think you have to go through it. You have to go through it item by item, right? And I would not be thinking about the bilateral trade deficit that Michael mentioned, because it makes no sense to judge these topics on the trade deficit. But we can say, are you taking capacity out in steel and aluminum, for example? Are you taking fundamental steps from requiring U.S. and Western companies to transfer technology? Are you doing something really about the theft and counterfeiting of IP? Are you doing something really about state support of businesses?
And if, Michael, the Chinese did everything that Stefan just mentioned there and said, yes, we are doing this. Yes, we are going to do that. Would you believe them? Because the minister who you cited earlier says, we're not doing any of that anyway.
It would go, if they met Stefan's requirements, they'd go a long way. I'm trying to be optimistic. Frankly, a lot of decisions the WTO has handed down in our favor, the Chinese have not implemented. One of the most outrageous is the ban inside China on MasterCard, Visa, and American Express. They've got their own credit card. They want it used worldwide. I think they're pretty much exceeded our cards now in terms of global market share. So what Stefan's referring to correctly about a state-controlled economy, that's what we're facing. At the margin, can there be a deal? Can both sides say we've made progress? Yes. Will it be total structural change by China? Absolutely not.